Faith and I chose to do is marine mammals in captivity. When looking at marine mammals, we decided to focus on the larger scale mammals such as dolphins and whales, mainly because those are the animals that you're more likely to see in captivity at places like SeaWorld and other organizations that try to put captivity in a positive light. Um, and many of these places only have one reason for keeping these mammals, and that's for their own profit. So digging a little deeper into what a mammal in captivity is, it's basically one that is taken out of their habitat purposely and not for means of rehabilitation or conservation, and they are then kept in a small concrete pool where they are forced for the rest of their lives to learn these 5-second tricks to entertain humans, basically, which is not what they're meant to do. That's not what they're created for. And captivity not only harms these animals, but it tears families apart, and it keeps them from their naturally playful and bonded instincts that they have that we can see with these mammals that are in the wild, and it makes them more depressed and easily irritated. Um, these mammals are very important to human lives because they maintain a balanced ecosystem due to their big role in the food webs of almost every ecosystem on Earth. So taking these animals out of their habitats causes huge issues within our ecosystems. Without a healthy and thriving ocean, the Earth can start to go through negative changes, which in turn affects every single living organism on the planet.
In 2009, the Humane Society of the United States and the WSPA released a case study to fight against marine mammals living in captivity. Some of the concerns brought up in the report were the quality of life, how these animals were treated, and how the captivity affected their behavior. They found that when dolphins are captured from the wild, they are 6 times more likely to die than those that aren't. If they did survive the capture and get transferred to a facility, there are still underlying problems for these dolphins. One of the main changes that dolphins have to deal with is the size of their enclosure. Even in the largest facilities, a captive dolphin's room for movement is decreased enormously, allowing animals access to less than 1/1000th of a percentage of their normal habitat size. Not to mention that they are placed in a concrete and glass containers which don't resemble their natural habitats in the slightest, which cause them to feel even more stressed. The ocean is a very loud place with lots of sounds happening at any given moment. And dolphins that are such social creatures that are taken out of their natural environment, they're getting stripped of their most valuable senses. Polar bears are another example of animals whose habitat cannot be replicated in captivity. Polar bears are built to withstand their harsh environment. Polar bears in the wild live in solitude as to not have to compete for the minuscule amounts of food they do manage to get. The only time polar bears are seen together is during mating season, and their home territory can span up to thousands of kilometers. Compare this to polar bears at the zoo, a small enclosure for 3, maybe 4 polar bears in the climate their body are not designed to live in. Their analysis show that the wide-ranging predators more frequently exhibit poor health, stereotypical behavior, and high infant mortality rates in captivity. Compare the treatment of these animals to our current situation. Because of the coronavirus epidemic, we've been stuck in quarantine for 2 months, and people are already resorting to violence and protest. How powerless do you think these animals feel?
Hi, my name is Arlene Molina, and I'll be going straight forward into the question and talk about what's going on in the environment of mammals in captivity. So, to start off, according to PETA.org, wild orcas and dolphins live in large, complex social groups and can swim in limitless distances every day in the open ocean. In captivity, they're only able to swim in endless circles, which to them is pretty much equivalent to like a bathtub. However, being held in SeaWorld, they're denied the opportunity to engage in almost any natural behavior. They're forced to perform meaningless tricks, which SeaWorld focuses more on profits. Another thing that has been affecting the wildlife environment would be that humans have been polluting the ocean with trash and plastic, decreasing the food chain, causing them to starve. Another reason would be that humans have been decreasing the population of orcas and dolphins by separating their families in the way of transferring them to different facilities. One main thing would be separating the young ones and taking them to different aquariums. With doing so, dolphins have been having trouble in breeding, and for that cause, SeaWorld has been impregnating their dolphins through forcible artificial insemination. The risk of that would be that dolphin babies have been dying within minutes of birth or either coming out deformed due to genetics, which has been becoming a larger issue because these aquariums aren't educating the public properly, but instead they're teaching the people that it's acceptable to keep animals in captivity.
My name is Natalie Zavala. An idea to reduce the percentage of people visiting mammals in captivity would be to stop supporting SeaWorld, which have animals help and instead go see the dolphins in their natural habitat in the wild. Usually they don't tell you this, but they are usually seen in the morning in the sun up to 11 o'clock a.m., which one can visit for free. Let me repeat that, guys, again, for free. Instead of paying tons of money to see a dolphin being held for entertainment. Another way to benefit humans and marine mammals would be to spend less money by going on a boat or a ferry and visit these wild animals in the ocean up close while they roam free, which can be known as whale watching and is preferably best instead of seeing them in captivity, which can cause mental illness and suffrage to these poor animals. According to worldanimalprotection.org, these programs like SeaWorld present themselves as educational and eco-friendly. However, they show all the good of rescuing animals and the fun of entertainment, but don't like to expose on how the captivity harms mammals. Though there isn't an exact plan to fix the issue, but there are organizations that are trying to resolve this problem, such as WWF, the World Animal Protection, the Human Society of the United States, and many more. So if you ever want to be part of this organization, just contact them, or if you also want to donate, so just visit these websites down here, and it would be awesome if you guys join to be part of this program.
I'm sorry, 20, 30 years. That was the normal thing, 20, 30 years. And that's all the proof what we had, because it was all through mainly SeaWorld. And we didn't realize that was the life expectancy of killer whales that we know in captivity. Penny and J-Pod, bless her heart, she died 3 years ago. They estimate her, at the one point was the oldest living orca. She was 103 years old. She was the matriarch of her family. Once you see some of my videos of what the dolphins actually do, how they get stimulated by rubbing kelp on their bodies, how they just with contact with each other, and then you go to YouTube and look at dolphins in captivity. There's a big difference in between that. Like I said, the dolphins, the dolphins always have to perform. No matter what, they have to perform. If they don't perform, they don't get food. They know that. So their performance is food driven. That's with killer whales. That's with a lot of animals that are in captivity like that. Even though, you know, they're going to put up a nice front, you know. Up, everything what I'm telling you is 100%. Orcas grind their teeth down. They will actually grind their teeth up against the side of the walls, and their teeth come down. And so it goes into the nerve system. And what happens, we grind our teeth down, and you have this open nerve, bacteria gets in, infection gets in, they die. And the reason why they do this stuff is because of they're bored. down like this. They're some are up against the gate doing these and whenever an animal does a repetitive motion of some sort, it's a psychological damage into their minds. Just broke up the family structure. Now these guys, they breed every 5-6 years. They can have a young one every 5 years. So you take those 5 years, and then they took so many out that those whales 100% have not fully recovered from back in the 70s. And also now they're dying because us humans, this is a whole different issue, but I'm going to tell you this, because not that they had a hard time rebounding back from that, now their favorite food, the salmon, especially the Chinook salmon, there's not enough salmon because as humans decide to block off the dams up in the Snake River, so now they cut down the food supply. We took away all these animals from them. So it is actually, yes, it's affecting the community. So what they did, they forced all the animals going, this is what I mean, Penco. They forced JKs and Ls into Penco, fenced it off. The Monterey Aquarium was one of the first aquariums in the whole world to have no cetaceans in it, no dolphins and whales. All what they had were fish. They had sea otters, which were rehabilitated, and which they still do have right now. And it's one of the top 5 in the whole world. At one point, it was among the top 5 because now there's others that took that same path. You do not need marine mammals so people can, to have them to jump through hoops, to jump through, balance a ball on their nose or anything like that to have a successful aquarium. So